The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, and by far it's one of my favorite books. It was like the second book I ever read in my life, and it changed my life a lot. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the 3 main things I actually learned from this book, and on top of that, I'm going to give you a summary of the entire book and some tips that you might have missed if you end up reading this book. Now, I read this book around 7 times already, a little bit more I think, okay? I read it all the time when I'm in the gym or when I'm like walking around. I'm just like right here like working. I just read it all the time. It's one of my favorite books of all time, okay? So guys, if you guys don't know me, my name is Bryson. I'm an accountant and I do videos here on YouTube every single day, and I do a book review every single week. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video, and hit the like button if you're excited to actually learn something new today. And on top of that, comment down below what's your favorite book of all time. I want to find out. And I also need new books, so like why not share a book here and there? I'll read it, I'll review it, give you a shout out. Sounds good? Thank you. Comment down below, let me know. Now, the first thing I want to clarify, guys, is, well, Tommy, what is The Richest Man in Babylon actually about? But before I tell you that, I have to tell you exactly about, well, Tommy, what is the city of Babylon actually about? And if you don't know anything about the city, guys, it was a city that existed around 8,000 years ago. And the problems they had back then, we still have now, 8,000 years later. Nothing has changed except that now we have iPads, computers, and cameras, okay? But nothing has changed. They still had like financial problems back then, issues with debt back then, money lenders back then, banks. They had everything we have today. They had it back then, but just with different languages and different terms, okay? But the world has not changed whatsoever 8,000 years later. And by far, it's one of the most famous cities, because it was one of the most wealthiest cities in the world, okay? By far, one of my favorite stories. And if you want a little background on this book and why I love it so much, well, here it is, guys. This book is very easy and simple to read, has a lot of stories, and on top of that, guess what? It has applicable information. So, for example, sometimes I read books, I walk away with nothing, but this book gives you a plan, step by step, of how to actually change your life right now, starting today. So, by far, this is why it's one of my favorite books, okay? So comment down below and let me know. Are you surprised that the world hasn't changed that much since 8,000 years ago to 8,000 years today? The only thing that's changed, guys, is just technology, to be honest. But it's the same thing, just different language, just different rapping, but it's the same exact thing. Nothing has changed whatsoever. It's just like a different scenery. Now that we understand what the city of Babylon actually about and what it actually stands for, now we can go into details about the 3 keys on this book. And here they are, guys. The first one we're going to talk about is actually the 7 cures of a lean purse. Then we're going to talk about the 5 laws of gold. And then we're actually going to talk about some tips and little hidden messages in the book that you might miss when you first read it. Because again, it took me around 7 times to get all these details down. So if you don't get it all in the first try, don't worry, just keep reading and reading it again, because you will get it eventually. So the first thing we're going to talk about, guys, is actually the 7 cures of a lean purse. Now, what does this mean, Tommy? It's basically a plan, a blueprint to stop being broke, okay? That's what it is, okay? It's a plan, a 7-step plan to actually stop being broke and actually start, you know, like building up money in your wallet, in your bank account, or whatever it is. But it's a plan of action to start making more money and building more money into your bank accounts, into your wallet, or whatever you're going to use. But again, it's just a blueprint, okay? So number 1 is this. You want to make sure you always pay yourself first, and 10% of whatever you make is always yours to keep. So for example, whenever you get paid, you set aside 10% just for yourself, and then with the 90%, you can pay your debts, you can pay your expenses, you can pay whatever you want, but you always want to make sure you keep 10% of whatever you make for yourself. Now, number 2 is this, guys. Control your expenses. Now, I personally know a lot of people out there that they spend more money than they actually make. Now, if you can't save 10% of what you make and you can't like live, then there's a problem there, because in reality, you're supposed to have a budget to control all your expenses. But here's my thing, guys. I'm going to tell you later on in the video how to actually get a budget, because I made a video on it. But for right now, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is this. Multiply your savings. So for example, when you take that 10%, which is rule number 1, you're supposed to try to multiply it by investing it into smart investments. Because again, idle money, just money sitting down on the side, doesn't make you any money and doesn't make you any more richer. So make sure you actually find profitable investments for your savings. Now, rule number 4 is this, guys. Once you start investing that money and making profits from it, you want to make sure you're investing it in a smart way, so in that way you don't lose your money. So imagine this. You spend 1 year saving 10% of all your money, and then now all of a sudden you lose it all because you invested into Bitcoin. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to make sure you invest into smart investments all the time. Now, number 5, guys, own your own home. Now, I know what you're going to say. You know, Tommy, renting is good, owning is good. You can't tell me what to do. Well, the answer is this. once you own your own home, in the book, once you own your own home, you can limit your expenses because everything is going to owning that home. But once you own it and you have it, well, you have two things: safety, security, shelter, and you also have lower expenses because you only have to pay the taxes, and you can take that money and invest it into your investments. Again, I said one thing, but it's actually said three things, okay? So there you go, guys. I want to own my own home eventually for all those reasons because, again, there's nothing better than knowing that the place that you actually live, you own it. They can't take it away from you, and all you have to do is just pay your taxes, okay? It's a completely different feeling than, I rent here. If I stop paying rent, I'm out, okay? You don't want to be that person. Number 6, guys. Once you're investing your money, have your own home, and you're making sure you don't lose money, well, you want to make sure now that you actually have a plan for the future. So number 6 is actually secure the future. And here it is, guys. You want to make sure you have a will, insurance, and you also have backups and an entire plan to show after you're gone, okay? Because again, you're here for a good time, not forever, okay? Just to clarify that. We're all gonna leave, but you wanna make sure you leave everything secured from your will, insurance, all that fancy stuff, so your entire family is taken care of whenever you leave, okay? Now, number 7 is by far one of my favorites, and it's actually increase your income. You might say, Tommy, I work minimum wage. I can't ask the government to increase my income. No, then you gotta improve your skills. You gotta get smarter. You gotta get smarter. You gotta get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter, okay? The smarter you are, the harder you work, you'll increase your income like that. Now, when I was in high school, I was making around $8 an hour. Then college, around $8.75 an hour. Then after college, they promised me like around, an accounting job, like around $30 to $60 an hour. And now as an entrepreneur, I make a lot more money, like around $10,000 every single month. So in reality, you have to increase your skills every single day to eventually earn more money and to be able to invest more money. So again, make sure you follow all these rules. You might make a lot of money, but you might not be keeping it. So if you earn a lot of money, by the way, there's always people commenting on the channel like, oh my gosh, I earned $500,000, $200,000. But in reality, do you keep that money? Do you keep it? Huh? That's all that matters. How much are you keeping? How much are you investing? How much passive income are you building up? So I don't care how much you make. I only care how much you keep, how much you invest, and all that fancy stuff, okay? So now that we covered the cures of a lean person, it's basically, again, how to stop being broke and how to actually start investing your money and how to actually start multiplying your money, okay? That's what it is. It's an entire business plan, an entire blueprint for your life. Now, number 2 is this, guys. Now I want to talk about the 5 laws of gold, because again, money has laws, society has laws, everything has laws out there for success. So if you follow these laws, and I do every single day, guys, I guarantee you some success. If you don't follow them, I guarantee you struggle. So number 1 is this, guys. Money grows as you set aside 10% of your income every single time you get paid. So for example, if I have a basket and I put in 10% of all the money I make every single month, every single week, whenever I get paid, well, eventually this basket will begin to overflow. Same thing for a bank account. My bank account will eventually start growing and growing and growing more and more because, again, I'm saving up 10% of all my money every single time I get paid. When I did this the first time, guys, I saved around like $2,000 my first year. So it can add up step by step. You can use that money to actually invest it. So never think it's too small. 10% is perfect. You can do more, great, but 10% is the minimum. Now, rule number 2, money will multiply as long as you invest it correctly. So again, if you invest money correctly in the right places, it will multiply. Money is your servant for you to use it for making more money. Once that money makes more money, you want to make sure that your money that just make, once that money makes more money, you want to make sure the money that your money just made, you use it to make more money. Don't spend the money your money makes. Use that money to make more money, to make you more money, and make more money until you have so much money that now you can spend more money on whatever you want. I said money around like 15 times in this one video, okay? I'm sorry, but it's important for you to understand. Number 3, money will stay with you as long as you invest it into profitable investments that rich people that are smart, actually recommend. So for example, I know this one story in the book. There's this one guy, right? He saves up money for an entire year, 10% of his income, and then he says, okay, I'm going to use this money to invest into a business, and he gives the money to a brickmaker to go buy some jewels in a far city, right? So now when the brickmaker comes back, he's like, okay, you know what I did? I bought some jewels. It turns out he bought glass, okay? Because you don't give a brickmaker money to buy jewels, you give the jewelry guy to money to buy jewels, okay? So basically, make sure when you invest money, you invest it under the advisement of people that actually recommend those investments. You don't want to invest money under your friend that tells you like, hey, you know, Bitcoin is so cool. You understand it? No, but it's cool. Look at all the people that make money. No, don't do that. Your money will leave you. And talking about losing money, money will leave you, and you will lose money if you invest it into investment that you don't understand and that rich people don't recommend either. So for example, that's rule number 4, by the way. If I was to say this, right, I want to start investing into Bitcoin, and I want to start investing into like into things that I don't understand, basically, right? And I ask Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett tells me like, hey Tommy, maybe not get a D, and I say like, oh no, Warren Buffett, I got this. Just mind your business, okay? Well, that money, I will lose it if I don't understand what I'm investing that money into. You have to understand what you're investing your money into, or else you'll lose it. And when you lose money, you're losing time, and you can't get time back. Now, rule number 5, guys, which is the most important thing ever. If you try to make money multiply way too fast, or just like try to increase the profits way too fast, you'll lose it. So for example, I get emails all the time about, hey Tommy, quick money. You want to make some quick money? No, not interested. Sorry. Tommy, if you do this, if you put in $10, you'll get back $100. No, not interested, okay? If you try to force money to make money that's impossible to make, well, it's either a scam or you'll lose your money also. So make sure the people you trust, they're not scammers, okay? Because I had a friend, he invested, well, not invested, he spent $10 to send it to someone that he doesn't know that was going to guarantee him $10 for $1,000. Well, he never got back those $10, okay? Because it doesn't make any sense, okay? So make sure you don't try to push money to its limits. Again, imagine somebody told you like, hey, you know, I found the savings account, it's like 50%, okay? It's not real. Don't do it, okay? Doesn't make any sense. So now that we know the 7 cures to a lean purse, and we also understand the rules of gold or money, whatever you want to call it, well, now it's time to go over some tips that I found in the book that you probably will miss after you read it the first time, because again, it took me 7 times to get all these tips together. Now, tip number 1 is this, guys. You set your own budget. What does this mean, Tommy? I know I set my own budget. Well, a lot of times people say out there, you know, I don't want to do budget because it restricts me. Well, you set your own budget. So if you restrict yourself, you're doing yourself the ill justice. So make sure whatever budget you set it along to what you actually want. Number 2, overwork everyone, and eventually you'll start making more money than everyone else. So for example, if I want to become the best, I have to overwork them. By the way, Adam Silver told me this. Will Smith says it all the time. So make sure you overwork everyone and eventually be rewarded for all that work you actually do. Number 2 is this. You either have the soul of a free man or the soul of a slave. In today's era, we don't really have slaves anymore, but in reality, it still applies because you see people out there that are still wearing the chains of debt, okay? Because they owe so much money and they just can't get out of it. So if you want to be a free person, make sure you have no bad debts, and you also make sure that you don't really want to be into debt that you can't afford, okay? So again, that's a really big fact and a really big part of this book that I really enjoy, because I never want to be a person that's stuck and can't move because I made so many mistakes in the past. Now, number 4, guys, you have to understand that money is abundant, so you have to have an abundant mentality. So always think more. Always think that there's enough out there, so don't ever restrict yourself. And number 6 or number 7, I'm kind of lost here, but it's basically what luck actually is. And luck is basically preparation meets opportunity, and there's no room for procrastination in this entire equation, okay? I think I just rhymed. I'm a poetic now, but basically, guys, you know, whenever you want to do something, you have to be ready for it. Luck doesn't come to you. You have to be ready for the opportunity whenever it comes, and you can't procrastinate on it. Now, number 8, guys, is actually this. You want to make sure you make work your best friend. If you don't enjoy what you do, and you don't enjoy doing it, then how can you possibly live? Because again, we're going to be working for a very long time in this life. So make sure whatever you're doing, you actually enjoy it. So in that way, you can actually overwork everyone else, because people are just doing it for money, but you're doing it because you actually love doing it. So that's what this actually means, okay? Now, the last one is this, guys. You want to remember to enjoy the pleasures of this world, okay? Because people out there, they save so much money, they don't spend any money, and they never enjoy their wealth. So make sure you actually enjoy your wealth, but just make sure you actually budget that enjoyment so you don't overspend. But I always want to make sure every single week I enjoy myself by doing something that shows me like, hey, this is what wealthy means, this is like what I want to accomplish. For example, in the future, I might buy me a fancy car just to enjoy it. But right now, I can't because I have my money working for me and making more and more money. But for right now, my enjoyment might be like, buying something on Amazon for like 30 bucks. Oh my gosh, I feel so rich, That's what I would do now. So, guys, comment down below and let me know. Do you understand what the 7 cures of the lean purse are, the laws of gold, and do you understand these tips? Comment down below, let me know. And guys, my final thoughts are this, okay? It's a very simple book. It's a very practical book. And I promise you, if you follow these laws, if you follow these rules, you will succeed, okay? Because again, it's the same thing. It's the same story. Nothing has changed. If you read this book and you read the new books, it's basically the same thing in different language with different like financial tools, alright? But it's the same exact thing. So it's the same exact theory. And by far, one of my favorite books. Comment down below if you're going to read it, if you're not going to read it. And if you want to read the book, I actually have a link to Audible. So if you join Audible today, you get 2 free books on me. Well, on Audible, well, on Amazon, well, on Jeff Bezos, okay? You get these free books, you can actually read them, and then you can actually have Audible. By the way, I use Audible all the time to read all my books. Now, on top of that, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and like the video, really appreciate it. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, go ahead and like the video, really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. And don't forget to comment down below any book reviews you want me to do. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, uno, just DM me on Instagram at Tommy Bryson. And if you want to watch more videos or more book reviews, I have a link right here for like more book reviews. And I also have my face right here, so you can subscribe to my face. Just click this face right here and you actually subscribe to the channel right now. And guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Thanks for watching and peace.